Alrighty then. Um, so I'm here to talk about miscellaneous uh, issues relating mostly to web services, and I try to have a beginner-friendly approach. Uh, so if you have any questions, just feel free to stop me anytime. And so let's begin. Battleship, always fun and games. Um, um, how you? Well, of course, there's plenty of online battleship games, and one of them is at Appas, the former Pasimaailma. So, how do you win without the other guy getting a shot in? Um, there's tools called memory scanners. So you use a memory scanner tool such as ScanMem, and this type of tool is what's called a poke finder. And if you're interested in game trainers, just like the old time maybe Amiga games used to have them, like a +5 trainer, there's a project based on ScanMem called UG Train. It's on GitHub. So this game, you have the beginner gets like a opening volley of 5 shots. So you search process memory. In the case of Apple, it's a Java application, so it's client-side memory. Search, then search again, and keep forking over the values. The set of the last results is the search set of the next. So now you poke or write to this memory address, you have a grid, you cover it, you win. So the lesson here, and the lesson that's going to be repeating all through this slideshow, is never trust user input or client-side input. And so let's keep on the game side. This is, or could be, I guess you may have read the disclaimer that none of this ever really happened, maybe to my cat's uncle's niece. So maybe you know a bit about protocol. There's 2 kinds of HTTP requests, GET and POST. We're not going to really go into it, but both have parameters. That's the important thing. So what's this then? Higher score wins, score as a parameter. Let's break open another tool called an intercepting proxy. So while that's loading, let's move on. Another, basically somehow similar, this here says the fastest player gets rewarded. So once again, it's winnable, not a lottery. So the game was, I think, a memory pair finding game. Here we have another HTTP request made to a server-side script, PHP script. And here we have your contact info. And what's this then? I commits time. So it's still loading. So the time parameter here is this is another program that's loading. All these programs can be found in the end slide. So called free flash decompiler. And what do we find? How is this parameter formed? Well, this is a second string, but it's actually in milliseconds. Anyway, that's the time, so that's the sausage score. Alrighty then, so we have here the second request. This is in the request, or the scores ending is in two parts. So here we have once more as with the name score, and we have the same value, so we can guess it's the same, it's the time. Then we have this new thing that wasn't in the previous contest at all. So I'll show you just in a while, and my computer's slow, patience a virtue. So we have here, once again from the Flash source, called ActionScript. All right, here's the actual Flash decompiler. Let's have a look at the source code. Most of these tools, save one, are open source as well, so Libre too. All right, so here on the target tab, you can set the scope to the address of the contest, and then you set once again, this tool is called burp suit, and then set the intercept to on, and you direct your traffic from your browser and from the Flash game at the same time. You get the request here. I get, maybe you can imagine it. Anyway, you have here history log file, and here you'll get your parameters which we just saw on the slide. So now that we have the ops request here captured into the burp suit proxy. So before we send it on, we have the hash method here. We have the what's called the salt here. I think this is funny. It was for the Sittari City Market store, chain store in Finland, and the salt that they said for the campaign was sheep farm, sheeple people. Anyway, so here's the milliseconds again, and MD5, so we know the hash method, no need to guess hash. Hashes are hard to fingerprint, so I recently spent like a week trying to crack a hash, but it was the John the Ripper program. It's not on these slides, but it's a hash cracking software, so it had misidentified it. And when I said the correct type manually, it was like a few minutes. So there's so much input lag that I'm having a hard time. Oh, it's not copy pastable. Oh well. Anyway, you can simply input it in here. Wait. Right here, so here you have hash, a drop down menu, and you'll immediately see the result. And here's plenty of SHA hashes, and there's MD5. So now we edit the packet before sending it forward. Alrighty then. So here we can see what the request looks like in burp. These are only the headers. There's also the parameters which are like here. These are from burp proxy. So now we can set this hash to any arbitrary time that we want to set it to. Preferably the winning, I suppose. So this is pretty much the same thing. MD5 hash, constant salt, hash, secret. So this also has this foo parameter. We can have a look at this code because I tried to look it up. I couldn't remember how that one was formed, so I tried to look it up from here, the source. So you get an editable live view of this, so you can recompile it also. If it's a more difficult kind of approach, if it's well, you might just recompile this binary, but really the intercepting proxy is kind of the, maybe, let's say, bottleneck. This is kind of difficult because, as you can see, all these parameters are obfuscated by the ActionScript compiler. So you need to keep maybe a track, 2-column list of what each value is in the formed requests. So once again, the fault trusting client-side input. This was, I think, a timed quiz. So it could keep a simple session cookie of the client, and then it could server-side compare the response to the actual quiz response or the correct ones. Also, a different thing from web-based contests. I used to have a Nokia Engage, and there was, back in those days, already the Jabber Pro, maybe you know XMPP, or I think it was. So there was this Agile Messenger app, which was really nice, but it was nagware. So that means it showed a splash screen each time it was started, and there was the URL where you could buy it, and so that helped me with a hex editor find the URL and the nag string. So this was like a trial and error thing, but it worked on the first time. So I just byted out the URL. So something broke in the dialog code, and because there was the null terminator already, so it worked without the annoying splash then. So I guess the takeaway on this slide is to be explorative, and sometimes the blind chicken does find a kernel. Okay, so this is a different approach. Here let's start from the bottom up. So we have a brute forceable collection campaign. So there's no timeout protection, no captchas. It's simple, just as we saw in the previous slides. It's an HTTP post request. So this time we're gonna use Apache in v4. I tried to get a screenshot of this, but it's only for Windows. Most of these are multi-platform. But I really recommend, if you have a Windows install, go check out VVVV. It's like a graphical programming environment. They call it a multi-purpose toolkit. So first we use, once again, burp. and we use it to input codes that are meant to be, collected from, in this case, margarine lids. So here we have a simple post body. So we have a code variable, and it's simply the same code as in the actual lid. So in response, we get, I think this was JSON or maybe XML. So the 3 different responses. In use, so a collision, OK, accepted, and false code, there was something wrong with the format. So we have a few leads, we can figure out kind of the format. So in V4, it's quite trivial to make a HTTP post brute forcer. Actually, many things are quite trivial in V4, so highly recommended. All right, so here's a little diagram. This is, note that this scale is logarithmic. So here's the amount of sent requests, some 67,000. Then here's the number of collisions. It was 37. Maybe not enough to raise any eyebrows. Then here's the okayed ones, about 200-ish. So maybe this tells you, you can figure out in your head, I mean, this was one overnight. So you can maybe see how, for example, 3 false codes in a row gives you a 10-minute timeout or something. You could see how this would immediately fail very quickly. However, it didn't. Hurrah. Once again, usual tools of the trade. This time there was an anti-cheat countermeasure built in. So this says best players get Java, and then this was a lottery in addition. So you gathered points, and you were also timed. And here's the, after you play, you send what we've seen. This is a post request. So here's the time, and then another. So where you have this SID, you'll see in the next slide. SID, this once again hash value. This time it's an SHA1 hash, and here's the points once more. All right, so what's the anti-cheat? It's at the beginning, your client sends a ping start package. In each of these 3, it pings through. At each frame, each draw, send a keep alive ping packet. So then at the end, you send a ping stop packet. And then we have here the points. So basically we can build a robot that sends this ping package, keeps alive the connection, then it uses that time that we input that we wanted the target time here. And then we use some well, high-ish probably point value. And in V4, we send the pings, and then at the end, we send these automatically. These are calculated, so the robot takes as input time the score. Then it simulates like a gaming session, and then sends the score. So checklist once more. We have the request structure figured out, hash algo, hash salt. This time it was, I think, bear mama. And then we've overcome the anti-cheat countermeasure. All right, let's see. Okay, this one is different, and this is also only for Windows, this tool called Macro Express. I'm sure there's some free libre alternative, but um, this was on Windows, so maybe you know about macros in Photoshop or in Office or something like this. Uh, you can like automate a computer. So the game this time was a penalty shootout simulator. So you needed to shoot a max amount of goals with only 3 of them being intercepted. So in a way you had 3 lives or balls or something. And well, the recon phase, it involved finding a surefire goal. In other words, one that the goalkeeper can't intercept at all. And there was one such. It was the upper left-hand corner, if I recall correctly. So simply the macro to shoot in that perfect spot only, and rinse and repeat, set it to, you know, run, 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 run. And in fact, this was kind of funny because I didn't check the results, you know, like I think I had some other things to do and I had the highest score, so I left it. And there was some dude who probably used the same approach, or maybe a request forgery like we saw earlier. But I think he didn't use the macro approach because he scored higher than me, and he was the winner when the contest ended. However, he was disqualified for cheating. Alright, so maybe you think, oh, this is a little grey-hattish area. You know, for your own personal game, whatever happened to the witches' vows? Yeah, no gain, no benefit, and they cheat, I'll tell you. Okay, so there was a startup, and I'm not sure if it's still alive, but in Finland was a shady little owner house, and they had an opening campaign. Where you needed to crack a safe, and this was also a flash game, so of course I wanted to look inside. There was actually a sizable cash prize, and no wonder, because they never intended to pay, and the flash was like a static locked on red safe. There was simply no way to open it, no scripts for it, and even no graphical assets. There was this green light will light when I think there was a 4-digit keypad, so I thought again about Macro Express and brute forcing this. However, what I found out was that there were no possibilities to actually, like, there was no sending of results like hurrah, you won, and it was like a frontispiece or something like this. And once again they cheat, the companies. They cheat us out of our money. So there was a sanity napkin company where you theoretically could win an iPod. So it was like a scratch lottery. And all that, once again the flash broken open, all they had there was a scratch animation, then a random number, and sorry, this number doesn't win. I've been thinking about this, and maybe if they were really smart, they did the lottery server side and then sent, you know, the corresponding flash file. Somehow I doubt it. This was another collecting campaign. I guess this one would have been brutable too, except that they demanded that you have the physical, unlike the leads, they wanted the physical labels. So even though this is simply an 8-digit code, you need to send those labels to the company to claim your prize. So anyway, there were some collisions like we had with the floor, the margarine, the we had some collisions, so it happens the other way too. It's already in use, even though I have the physical product, and there were a few. All right, so repetitio est mater studiorum, it's Latin for repetition, the mother of studies. And did I already mention that repetitio est mater studiorum means repetition is the mother of studies? Also, yes. So here we have a little nut to crack for you. Here you have from the decompiled Flash once again, how to calculate a checksum for this level, this score, and this player name. Oh, and this email too. So, TikTok, what's the checksum? With my pocket calculator. Oh, also, I'll give you a few minutes to ponder on it. However, this was also like a quiz form, and they sent like the correct answers over the wire at the beginning as XML. So, oh yeah, and by the way, do note that in the length here, where you need the length of the name, I'm giving you a few hints here. Keep in mind that Flash action script length doesn't include the null terminator. I don't know if they even use a null terminator. I guess that's besides the point. All right, so who has 363 as the player checksum? Hurrah, you won. So I guess the takeaway here is like, this is security through obscurity. Like you figured that, okay, let's see this parameter here and then times that, and oh, by 19. So roll your own crypto. I seriously hope you guys don't do this. Right. V4, burp, flash. Not really anything we haven't seen before. So faults, yeah, I don't think we want any faults. Time, unbeatable. And then once more here we have MD5, big surprise. So let's move on to something else. I was gonna have a larger portion of this, but let's just run through the basics. So what to do when there's no internet access, but there is a network access? Well, first, have a look at what machines are on the net. On Linux, Unix-like systems, you have ARP-scan. ARP is for Address Resolution Protocol. So you have all the addresses that are being routed in the system. So here's the MAC address, here's the IP address. Hello, what's this then? Plenty of unknowns, G-Pro computer. Dental, let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, if you just want to listen on the wire, you can use something called ARP spoofing or even ARP poisoning, where you set the machine addresses of all computers to be sent to you and to be sent from you to the original target address. So this way you'll have all traffic being passed through your computer. You'll be a man in the middle for all packets. So next, let's see what this machine has to say to us. So break open Nmap. I think Harry Piro already mentioned Nmap for port scanning. Just in case you weren't there, just like Trinity did in the Matrix. While this port scan was running, I was even running C Matrix in another shell prompt. Yeah, shit was so cash. Anyways, what have we here? Okay, FTP, didn't try it. The thing about port scanning, well, why it's so fun? Well, it's because it's bound to get a cache. I mean here, Synac, open ports. FTP didn't try if there was authentication or anything. SSH probably authenticated. Telnet, same. What's this then? One unrecognized service. Welcome. All right then. Netcat. Maybe you can see down here. It says Netcat or NC for short is to connect to a host. Netcat host port, very simple. It's the IP port. So what have we here? Mechanics positiv. Jawohl. Hallsensoren, Deck, Center. Давай, mitas. Where's the... Oh, prisms too. Eraser. Oh my, scanner, laser. High voltage, danger, danger. Will Robinson. So anyways, unfortunately these commands listed here, the record here, you can see they record back by the server from a very peculiar time. Where is it? Here. Oh, back to 2007 then. In the month of 00 or maybe a day. I contacted the firm that had sold this medical device. The best I could gather, it's some kind of a dental X-ray scanner with laser scanners and light cabins and everything. And I was like, oh, we're trying to diagnose our system and we're having some difficulties with the diagnosis part, etc. They never responded to me. Huh. I even asked there's always the social element. It's a pretty good way in. Like I asked the dental staff, I went in for, well, I didn't go in for like simply this, but I went in to get my tooth fixed and I just asked them, oh, what kind of lasers you got here? Lasers? This is a public clinic, like we could afford lasers. Alright, I hope you enjoyed hums. I guess we could look at something else. If it's been 40 minutes, we still have time. Oh, by the way, these slides are all available on GitHub, so you can check out the links later. And also, if you want to check out any of these codes, I'll send them to you. I won't put them on GitHub because they're not mine. So, yeah. I don't know, I guess I could give you a short synopsis of what these are. Do you guys want to see some Nmat results, maybe? I don't know. There's some Stack Overflow exploits. I could show those. I don't think I can show in this time, however, like all of these are freely available. I mean, you can simply choose a pen testing distro like Xenax or Kali. So you'll get all these pre-installed and you can have a look, browse. But let's just end with this with something special. Shift toothbrush blade. Missä tässä oli ainakin jo? Se on täältä. No niin. Vähän hermoilla. Ei mitään. Ai joo, mutta tästähän onkin liitinkin rikki. Voihan pahalla. Hei, onks mikki? Onhan tää mikki, no niin. When that sound processes in your brain, I don't know if you heard it, I heard it here on the stage, however, it's not that important, but it's a shell code and then who am I? When you get the answer root, happy days.